Easy now, and welcome back to Grand Prix World. I'm super sorry, it's been the best part of 2 weeks since we last hung out together, so we've got some catching up to do. Reason for that is the usual stuff, busy, boring, real life nonsense. I was going to get some multiplayer Stellaris out to you. There will be an episode today that we recorded last week, but Corin and I kept sort of missing each other, and I missed Simon as well, so all the collaborative recording stuff just went completely out of the window, and it also meant in the process that all the solo one-on-one time that we enjoy went out the window as well. Never mind, moving on. Did get some comments. One or two of you were asking if I would mind live streaming the full race coverage from Japan. I'll be honest with you, it's something I have considered. I'm very happy that people would be interested in giving it a try, and I'm more than happy to try and stream something in the near future, I hope. The problem is I can't really be reliable with schedule. I record these as and when I have time, which means it's kind of hard to inform people in advance and have them have time to come and hang out and play video games for an hour or two. That said, I'm prepared to give something a go, but the caveat is it can't really be Grand Prix World. The reason for that is that, as you know, this game runs really unstably for me on Windows 7, and if I minimize it to tweak with the volume to make someone happy or see the chat messages or whatever, I basically lose the game and I have to restart the whole thing. So if you can imagine me having to reopen the game repeatedly, not just because it crashes but because we need to tweak things and get things better, the whole thing will be a giant shit show. The other problem is that it does have that tendency to crash, and it means we could spend an hour and a half together streaming, qualifying, and get halfway through the race, and then all of a sudden the game decides to crash. And yeah, you've seen what's happened up until then, but what's happened up until then is no longer relevant. Like, it's non-canon, it didn't happen, because we have to roll all the way back to the start of the episode. I will look around and see if there's maybe something I can do to try and stabilize things, but nothing's come up so far. But streaming is definitely something I'd be prepared to do at some point. Maybe as a special one-off kind of thing. Maybe when we get to 100 subscribers, if that ever happens. By the way, I have passed 70 and I'm grateful to each and every one of you individually, pathetically so. Thank you for taking time out to subscribe. It is appreciated. I'll try and minimise the requests for you to do so, because you get bombarded with enough of that as it is, but just know it is noticed and I do appreciate it. Right, cracking on. It is Pedro Diniz's season to lose so far, although Giancarlo Fisichella is back in the mix since we got the hard compound tyre. Not quite up to snuff, but in the ballpark. We're still kings of technology, and we are technologying all over the shop, making sure that we have the best car on the grid where possible. The C-Spec car can now go into the model stage, and then we'll bang that in the wind tunnel, and everybody, and I do mean everybody, is a winner. We need to hire a wind tunnel? No, we don't. We already did. It's clever of us, wasn't it? Boom. There we go. Right, so all the design office stuff is now in order. That's a good start, I think we'll agree. I'm going to build this technology upgrade first of all, and then we're going to run some testing. We will be running round 8 in France, maybe round 9, depending on how my time is. Wednesdays are always tough for me, really tough. I work from 8 in the morning through till 12. It's my half day because of my university studies, and I make up those other hours the other days. And so I leave the office at 12, I get back to my apartment around 12:30, 12:40 if I'm lucky. Then I go do the grocery shopping, because, that's got to be done. And then I go to the practice room I hire for drumming, and as I'm talking to you now, it's now 4 o'clock and I haven't actually begun any of my uni studies, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging any longer than absolutely necessary, so we'll bash out what we can, and I'll talk to you again before the weekend, I should imagine. Anyway, the more I waffle, the less you actually get to see done, so let's stop waffling and start doing. I'm pretty happy with how things are there. Let me make sure I'm not wasting testing time on fuel. I would be wasting testing time on fuel and on engines. That's good. We can cancel the engine testing program and significantly reduce the fuel testing program. That means we can boost Forschung quite nicely. It gives us an extra 10 or 20% to spend as we will, I'm going to distribute it thusly. And that will be our last full distance test of the season, I would imagine. Which tyres will we improve? Who wins the tyre lottery? I think it'll be the wet compound. Congratulations. Nice. And on the fuel, only 1 point to spend, but that's all we need. Nice. This is now the halfway point of the season, so come round 9, just after the 50% mark, we will have perfect or pretty much perfect everything. Again, that perfect comes with caveats because it's not perfect, but it's the best that technology from that supplier allows at the moment. However, Mobil 1 is a 5-star supplier, so it should be one of, if not the best race fuel and lubrication solution in Formula 1 this season, which is always good. Shell are the other 5-star, and I don't know if there's particular synergies between race fuels and certain engine suppliers, because you'd imagine, given the depth of the simulation and the way synergy does tend to pop up every now and again, that maybe there's some kind of special relationship between a Ferrari power unit and Shell fuels, same as with Mobil 1 and Mercedes power units, but to my knowledge that isn't actually something that happens. I've just had to redo all of that because the game crashed. Whenever you hear my voice sort of tail off like that, it's because what you see is like the frozen game screen. What I see is either a black screen or my desktop, and then I know that Fraps will record for maybe like 1.5 to 2 seconds after that happens, so I try and finish my sentence so I don't have to record the whole fucking thing again. But we're back where we were before that unpleasantness. I just need to repair the cars again and drop the development points to make things happen. Did the happen points? Yes, they did. The happen points made stuff happen. Again, I just don't think we have the technology to get that system in place, so we'll try again on some level 4 servo brakes. It could be a limitation in our staff skill or something. It might be a good idea for us to just go ahead and order the factory at this point. Just a thought. 6 million, half our budget. Actually no, I'm just going to do it in one turn, because that way we don't have to have 8 turns of us losing $666,666 of the beast every round. No point having that drag effect on us. We're profitable anyway. Might as well just drop the cash and get it done in one turn. It's a good tip for life, that, by the way, because I think a lot of people do what I did, which is when you're 18 and suddenly you can get things like nice new shiny phone, but you have to get a contract, or you can get a credit card and buy the video games console that you want. You can very easily just fuck up massively. I know I did, and quite a lot of my friends did. So here you go, there's a metaphor for life. It's better to save up and just pay it off in one go than it is to get credit on stuff, because credit just F's you in the A. Sponsor negotiations seem to be going pretty well. Let's make sure we're not taking anyone we shouldn't to our party. It's our party and we'll schmooze if we want to. We want to take Canal Plus and HSBC. And we're taking Fond Metal actually because they can give us bonuses. That's right, because we're still negotiating with Mobil 1. That's all good. That is good, probably. Cars are repaired, everything's set. Oh, we did discover some naughty technology. Level 3 servo brakes. If that was level 4, I would copy the balls out of that, but no, we're just going to file a complaint. That's something else. That's another life lesson. If someone achieves something that you're incapable of achieving, just tear them to pieces until their advantage is gone. It's bad advice, but it's a lesson nevertheless. Don't actually do that. You're not dicks. We're not dicks here. Righty dokie. I think that setup looks reasonable. I'm always a bit unsure in certain rounds, and France is one of them, about setting up particularly for the dry or the wet, so I tend to let the engineers decide. But here, setting up the suspension attributes makes a lot of sense, I think. And we do see kind of a hint there to read from. Do we have a new evolution engine? We do. And we've got new fuel, and I think we have a new hard compound for Fisichella. We do. I don't know if I should be putting Deniz on the hard as well. We'll try a split strategy, and then we'll maybe try them both on hard next time out. I think that could be interesting, just to see whether it makes sense. So, cars are set up, everybody's happy. .28°, very dry with a strong wind. Still unsure how strong winds affect our car, but nevertheless. Ooh, that's not quite what I was hoping for, but still, as we know, and I repeat it every time, we tend to do better in the race than qualifying. Michael Schumacher takes the pole for Jordan on a 1:15.479. David Coulthard puts his Benetton second. That's a return to form from nowhere. A 1:15.539 for him. Alexander Wurz leads the Ferraris. His 1:15.640, putting him in third ahead of teammate Celso Moreira on a 1:15.726. Moreira is very, very up and down, but it seems he's on an upstroke at the moment. Shinji Nakano puts his Benetton 5th for 1:15.727. Good to see him doing well. Juan Pablo Montoya puts his Jordan in 6th, 1:15.765. Fisichella outqualifies Deniz by a fraction of a tenth. Even though he's on the slower compound tyre, that doesn't bode well for Deniz. It also only took Fisichella 9 laps to do it, whereas Deniz used all 12. Johnny Newhouse and Mika Hakkinen in the McLarens round off the top 10. Prost continued to sit just over 2 seconds off the back of the next slowest car, which is the Stewart in this case, but probably Tyrrell arguably. 7th and 8th isn't fantastic, but hopefully we can turn it round. There's been a 5° temperature drop, and the wind slackened off a little bit for race day, so maybe that does play to our advantage. We'll go for a 36-35 split for Fisichella. No point making him stop more than once. If he bins it, he bins it. He's already binned the championship to a large extent. He'll have some work to do to get his campaign back on track, so it's up to him to do it now. We've given him the tools, I think. We've developed a hard compound tyre that, although it does have its uses, was in such a bad state that, you know, it was arguable whether we really should have bothered. But we did, and now we've given him a tool to try and turn the tables a little bit and try and have that photo finish that we enjoyed a few seasons back. And he picked up the baton last time, but I still don't have faith that he's really as comfortable with this year's car as he has been with the last 2 seasons. All good. Let's smash it. Pedro Diniz takes the win, 1:35.23607. Big gap down to Michael Schumacher in the Jordan for second, 1:35.34421. Alexander Wurz takes third for Ferrari, 1:35.46738, and the points are rounded off respectively by Celso Moreira's Ferrari, Johnny Newhouse's McLaren, and David Coulthard finishing 1 lap down against the leader. I'm sorry, but our car is incredibly strong on race pace. It just is. We've been, with Deniz, I would assume, on the same strategy certainly as the Ferraris. Absolutely the same strategy as the Ferraris, because I'm fairly sure, given the disparity between the Goodyear softs and Goodyear hards, that all the Goodyear teams will be running the softs at the moment. I don't see any of them, except maybe Stewart took a gamble on the hards. Deniz has come from behind, and he's finished 23.1 seconds down the road from the fastest Ferrari. He's lapped everybody up to and including 6th. And this is Deniz, this isn't Schumacher or Hakkinen. I'm starting to wonder if we did have a driver of the calibre of Hakkinen or Schumacher, could he have lapped everybody up until 2nd? I think it's possible. I think it's possible. Fisichella again lets us down, or more accurately, his engine let him down. There were a number of failures to finish. Montoya's Jordan had electronic failure. Engine failures took out Herbert's Williams, Fisichella's Arrows, and Salo's Sauber. An unknown problem took out Luca Badoa's Minardi, and hydraulic failure punished our old pal Shinji Nakano. Bad luck, Shinjas. In the Drivers' Championship, Pedro Diniz continues to sit upon the Golden Throne. In 2nd is Michael Schumacher with Golden Throne urine dribbling in his face on 38 points, and Giancarlo Fisichella is licking the boots of the guy who licks Diniz's boots with 27 points. For 3rd, 2 points clear of Alexander Wurz, but I don't think that's going to last if this carries on. A lot of drivers have scored this season, which shows you how varied it has been on a race-by-race basis. We sit atop the pile of constructor folk with 97 points. Jordan take 2nd on 44 points. Ferrari are 3rd on 35 points. Honourable mentions go to Benetton for leapfrogging Minardi and sitting there on 6 points, which, given their performance particularly last year, didn't look hugely likely. And big shout out for Minardi, to be honest, sitting there above Sauber. Good news indeed, unless you're Sauber. It's our home Grand Prix. We turned a massive profit there of 2-point-something million. 2-point-something obviously being the technical term. Let's check the news. Actually, first, let's save the game in case we crash. This game does like to crash like Fisichella. Pedro Diniz takes another win. Pole position went to Michael Schumacher, obviously. Anything particularly interesting otherwise? I'm looking for the big sponsor deals, really. I don't see the point of repeating who's won races and stuff and who's got issues. Williams have signed Visa. We signed Fonmetal. That's the 2 biggest sponsors. Carl Gaydon has signed for Prost. Now, he's a 5-star chief mechanic, so that's a pretty big signing for them. I don't know how he ended up going there. Pedro Diniz got the fastest lap. That's not really a surprise. Jordan and Bridgestone will be partners. HSBC have dropped us in favour of Prost. Canal Plus have also dropped us in favour of Tyrrell, so we have some catching up to do on the sponsor front. Ferrari have signed a works deal with Bridgestone, and we have a works deal with Mobil 1. Yeah, nothing particularly extravagant going on in the world of news, but no, that's no surprise. Onward. Let's see where we are in the design office. We're almost finished with next season's car. A little bit behind the schedule we had last year. I believe we finished the car by round 8 last year, or round 9. This time it will be round 10, it appears. But still, good progress. And our C-Spec car, or more specifically the rear wing of our C-Spec car, will now go into the wind tunnel, so we'll have that ready for round 10. We have a brake upgrade ready to deploy. I'm going to improve the reliability of the brakes as well. Brakes are important. They're a very underrated element of racing. A lot of people overlook things like brakes and tyres, and they're some of the most important elements. Well, I say some people, it tends to be children, you know, kids who are watching Formula 1 as young kids. For me, it was always about the engines. And then you get a little bit older and wiser and you realise that actually engines are arguably one of the least important elements. Red Bull display that pretty frequently this season. Yeah, I think that's all good. We're going to continue tyre testing. We will finish fuel testing because there is no need, and we will no longer be running 350 miles of testing because that's just extravagant. It's just showing off. We don't really need to continue with tyre testing, to be honest, but we'll do it for shits and giggles, as the kids say. Which tyre wins now? I'll tell you what, let's do a soft tyre upgrade for Diniz. I think he's earned it. Boom. Prepare the cars, and we will begin courting some new sponsors to make sure we're not left in the dust there. Now, it comes the time as well, actually, for me to defer to you guys once again. I know the democratic element of this playthrough sort of fell by the wayside about a season ago when we started dominating everything. 2 seasons ago, sorry. But we are approaching the end of Fisichell's contract. And you guys, obviously, have the call on the #1 driver slot. So, either we can reinstate Deniz as #1 driver, try and... Actually, no, we can't, because Deniz is contracted to the second driver seat. I mean, I know they're equal #1, but he's in the second slot. He's contracted for a year further, so we couldn't actually move him. But basically, it's up to you guys whether we retain Fisichella or we bin him off and maybe take a chance on an unproven driver, or we try and poach a bigger name. I don't know how you guys feel about chasing a more expensive driver, if that makes sense to you. I mean, historically, we've always gone for drivers within our means. Our means are a little bit larger now. However, I don't really feel we're being particularly hampered right now by not having the best driver in the game, simply because our technology, our engineering capabilities are so well developed that the car does all the heavy lifting, which is traditionally how I play anyway. Who are we going to go talking to? Why don't we hook up with Korean Air again? I'm going to save our success card. And I'm going to play it... Probably... I could play it on the Fond Metal deal, actually, and get a bonus for 2 seasons. That would be an option. But it could also help us snatch Korean Air from the jaws of some bastard. HSBC are dropped because they ditched us. Korean Air are actually a current sponsor, so it's probably a good thing that we're dealing with them again. As I knock my headset off my head. Okay, everything is done, testing is complete. We've invited people to our Formula 1 based party. Finances are good, development is good, drivers are happy, even if only one of them is performing. Deniz, fortunately, being able to do enough of the heavy lifting that Fisichella's misfortune and incompetence hasn't really impeded our constructors' challenge as much as it should have done. We have no right to have the gap that we have right now. We shouldn't have that cushion. We've only had one driver delivering, whereas teams like, particularly Ferrari, both drivers have also inconsistently been delivering, but they have been delivering, and certainly more consistently than we have. Okay, that's something I'm happy with. I'm going to keep Deniz on the soft tyre, given how his performance was last time out. Level 3 traction control for McLaren, that's ruined their day. Servo brakes. Let's see if they've got some servo brakes we can nick. They seem to be around at the same tech level as us in terms of driver aids, so maybe they have a level 4 system that's been homologated that we can just nick off them. And it doesn't matter then if our own efforts come to no fruition. Okay, lining up at our home Grand Prix for a 21-degree dry day. I was kind of hoping it would rain. I mean, it'd be the British thing to do, and it would help us with our qualifying form. Nevertheless, wow, that's a big gap. Seems the hard compound was the one to choose today, so it's good we're on a split strategy, assuming Fisichella finishes. Michael Schumacher takes pole for Jordan, 1:23.499. Alexander Wurz second for Ferrari, 1:23.504. David Coulthard's Benetton takes third, 1:23.506. Fisichella sits in 6th position on a 1:23.720, and Pedro Diniz sits 12th, sandwiched between Juan Pablo Montoya's Jordan and Mika Salo's Sauber. The McLarens have out-qualified us for the first time this season, I think. Benetton really seem to have turned things on at the end of the season, and Michael Schumacher is dragging performances out of that Jordan heroically. I think really Ferrari is probably the second best car, but the fact Schumacher's behind the wheel of the Jordan is just sort of pulling it above where it should really be. Temperature drop and cloud for race day. Not really a huge surprise. We'll do a 30-30 split with Fisichella and hope that he can make that work enough to his advantage that he wins the race, because I really don't want to be dropping wins now. We've got a cushion, but it can be very easily etched into, you know, if you suffer a few too many DNFs or a team begins consistently taking double podiums, it will evaporate fairly quickly. We're only at the halfway point in the season, by the way, so being able to build that cushion also means there's enough time to completely eradicate that cushion. We can't get complacent. Alright, everything's set up. I'm hoping Deniz manages to deliver. Fisichella in his cheeky face, I'm hoping he delivers. Obviously right now it looks like Fisichella's got the best chance of winning, but I really don't know what he's doing in the races right now. His race pace seems to be off when he finishes, and when he doesn't finish, then he gains nothing anyway. Smashy smashy. Michael Schumacher takes the win for Jordan on a 128.11.191. Giancarlo Fisichella, I guess due to being on the slower tyre, finishes second on a 128.21.857. Alexander Wurz rounds off the podium for Ferrari. Pedro Diniz takes a respectable fourth. Given where he started, I'm a bit bummed that he's 31 and a half seconds off the back of Alexander Wurz's Ferrari. However, I'm not going to take that too badly. I think his performance overall looks like it's been more than solid. He has got past a lot of cars during the course of the race, and he's brought it home in the points, and that's all we could really have expected, given that he started 12th. Good on you, Pedders. Drivers' Championship, Pedro Diniz stays in first position on 73 points. Michael Schumacher closes the gap. He now sits second on 48 points. Fisichella's opened up a bit of a gap to Alexander Wurz. Only a 4.1, but it's a bigger gap than he had before. And in the Constructors, we sit on 106 points atop the pile and standing on the face of Jordan on 54 points. And the game's frozen. Had to dive out there to save it, but it's saved. The result still stands. I don't have to re-record that things. That's awesome. Before we go, Minardi have signed a team sponsor deal with Murano. That is massive for them. Huge. Murano is the highest paying team sponsor in the game. There's no way they can't benefit from that massively now. Maybe not next season, because as we've seen, it takes time to build up infrastructure, especially if you're going to do it in a sensible way. But that is something in the region of 40 million that's coming into that team. That's probably more than doubled their budget. I would expect towards the end of our playthrough, we're going to see Minardi taking a big leap forward, and I'm sure that makes all of us happy on the inside. Speaking of being happy on the inside, I hope you guys have been having a acceptable week so far, and life is treating you well. I am going to go away now and do some uni studying and make more videos for you, so you don't feel neglected. Thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks to all of you for commenting and subscribing and emailing and all the stuff you do. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. I do like reading all your stuff, and it's still my mission to get back to all of you, so I will get to work on that as well. You guys take care, and I will talk to you very, very, very soon. Take it easy.